Welcome to the fourth session today. We have moved across the Atlantic to the US with both of you. So I just want to start and ask, as I've been doing all day, kind of ask a question, your thoughts on some recent event. And the White House, everyone's talking about this on my feeds, which, how social media works. That means everyone's talking about it, is winning the AI race, this presidential White House released the Winning the AI Race, America's AI Action Plan, which outlines the government's strategy for the US, and it includes a big push towards AI integration into education and the workforce, development to prepare young people. So I just want to know, what are your thoughts on this? On the ground, you're both students. What does that mean to you? And, thank you both for being here. And please do introduce yourselves when you start.
Hello, well, my name is Samaya Williams. I'm 19 years old, going to my second year at the University of Virginia. I'm originally from Washington, D.C. And I think kind of my thought process with this topic is that we don't know a lot about AI. Like we're still learning a lot. And so I think it's very important to implement different curriculums into education where we're actually learning what AI is, what it stands for, and like the power that it has, because without kind of knowing what it is, we don't really know how to use it. And I think that that's where a lot of kind of the misunderstanding comes with AI in education specifically. So yeah, I feel like we start off with kind of really understanding what it is and making it a safe space and a safe place to use in the first place.
I definitely agree. And my name is Arna Sahu, and I'm a 17-year-old at Bay Area in California. I'm going to be a rising senior. And on the other side, I am a podcast host at Arna's News. I love talking with people, just like this conversation here. And in terms of the question you asked about winning the AI race, I think just as Samaya said, it's a very like vague and murky topic, especially AI in education. And I think now we should be setting clear boundaries, like what constitutes as original work and what doesn't. I think keeping very clear policies like that can help avoid a lot of confusion, at least for students, such as myself. And yeah, it's just a very murky topic. So as we're getting into the new school year, I'm not sure how that would play out. But as AI is more prominent, I'm sure we'll find some solutions.
Definitely, yes.
And another thing I want to mention is that, like, at least for my example, there was a situation where I was tangled up with artificial intelligence in education. Like this past May, like I think 10 days right before the last day of school, my paper for English was detected as AI use by Turnitin AI. And I was just really confused because it was completely my own work, and my school has this policy where even one word detected by AI is a complete zero. So I'm a 4.0 student, so my grade dropped 12%, so I had a B in the class. And I was quite stressed out, so I tried talking with my teachers and everything, but the school policy was just that. So it was a pretty distressing time because I didn't know what to do. This was like a completely new situation for me and my peers, so we didn't know how to get help. But later, like I did well with the finals, so my grade went up. But it just poses that question that if AI is going to be more prominent in education, my situation might happen to other people, and that is a very messy thing.
Yeah. Yeah, knowledge is definitely key with things like this, especially like new forms of kind of like AI like that how we're experiencing now. Um so I definitely think that we need to, like I was saying earlier, we need to just explore it more. Like we need to stop being scared of it. I think a lot of issues with education is that like instructors are kind of scared of AI. They're scared that they're just gonna, or their students are kind of just gonna use it and like take advantage of AI. And so I think that it's kind of important to recognize that it's not really a scary thing. It's just something that we haven't really explored a lot of.
Definitely. And it's kind of like the calculator question in the 70s. Like, should we allow students use them or should we not? And I think, I mean, AI is here to stay. Like, it's been here for quite a couple of years. So
Yeah,
I think we should be teaching ethical AI usage.
definitely. Definitely. And I feel like in terms of what Gen Z is kind of doing with AI, I feel like we're not only like consuming it and using it to like get our assignments done, but we're co-creating with it. Like we're making music with it, we're doing art, we're coding. It's not just something that we're using to take advantage of, education. I think that, young people are using AI for different creative endeavors. And I think that's really important to address because it's not just something that has like these negative connotations. Like we're evolving and we're innovating through AI.
And I myself am interested in computer science, and artificial intelligence like is a huge new major and minor. So
Yes.
that's like a field that many of us are considering, because I'll be applying to college this year. So super
Yes, that's
excited.
so exciting. I remember last year I was doing similar things and definitely stressful, definitely nerve-wracking, but I'm very excited for you.
Yeah.
How does it feel actually with the AI? I mean, AI when you go into college application process. I always wondered that because now you have basically a wall of a lot of colleges using AI to assess your what you've written, your application. Do you either you like feel that going into college or going into the workforce? I mean, is that something that worries you?
I think like because I got tangled up in that situation when it was completely my own work, I was really scared. And just thinking about it now, I'm just trying to like write my own papers, you know? I have people that I know who are using, AI to figure out college lists, and I think that's pretty helpful. Like I think that's what I'm doing too to research. But when it comes to actually writing, because I'm pretty sure universities are going to screen papers, like if this
Yeah,
is
they do. They definitely do.
yeah, if it's like majorly AI detected, then maybe we shouldn't admit this person. So just like remembering that it's your own story, and I don't think artificial intelligence can tell that. But also, I know some schools are requiring you to submit a previous work, like a previous like essay you wrote for a class or something. So there's more schools that are doing that too, which is pretty interesting as we're going into the 25-26 academic year.
Definitely. No, I definitely agree with what you were saying. I think that there always like there's risks to everything and there's like a slippery slope to anything that's kind of new. Um, but again, just like making sure that we're aware of what AI can do and like its potential and its possibilities. I think that going into AI with more of like an optimistic perspective is very important. Um, but in terms of my experience, I didn't really honestly, like with AI and applying to college, I didn't really find it as something that was a barrier to me. And I don't really have, I guess, much to say in terms of that, but I definitely think that it does have the potential of having I guess, negative connotations regarding, college applications and like we're using AI to answer these questions, or colleges are using AI to review our applications. So it's all there's always, long story short, there's always negative aspects of things. So I feel like it's really just um, approaching it in a way that we're like being open-minded and understanding that there's risks that we're taking with using these new platforms, and we just kind of have to learn as we go. Honestly, I think it's just really a learning process.
I agree. AI is a tool, but there's a fine line between, your own thinking and your own judgment and what you can use to help you with.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like you have the support to do that properly?
Uh,
Honestly, oh, sorry.
I don't know, you go.
Honestly, I don't think we do, and that's why I think that it's so important that we have these types of discussions and we have these types of conversations because everyone is very confused with AI at some points. Like we don't know a lot about it, and I think that it's just kind of important that we, have these conversations. We have these conversations in education, in the workforce, just in personal life, talking to your friend about AI. It's just important to have these conversations so we're not so nervous to use it or scared to kind of use AI.
I agree. I think we're all just confused and we don't know where to go because, like, I think, at least for my situation, I kind of thought that my teachers would know what to do. But then when I thought about it in like their own perspective, like they're also figuring this out. So we're all like kind of confused. So hopefully
Yeah.
we'll have more clear policies. Like when you step into class, what's your syllabus like? Like, are you not even allowed to use ChatGPT? Are you not allowed to just use any type of AI generator detectors? Because like a lot of my peers, especially me, now that whenever I turn something in, I always put it into like an AI detector and just make sure that it looks good and it's just completely my own work. So I just have like a bunch of them lined up on my Google Chrome tabs. So we still don't know what to do, or we don't really have support, but I think that we'll get a lot more clear outlines going in.
Yeah, there's just a lot of gray area that we kind of need to clear up, I think, in terms of AI.
I totally agree. And then I think we can switch a little bit to the question, which is AI for therapy. I think it's a really cool topic. I kind of want to do a little self-plug here. I'm the co-founder of Glow Mood AI, which is a mental health startup that kind of combines artificial intelligence to kind of make it act as a companion. So I think that there's a lot of cool work going on with AI for therapy, with AI for social media integration. I know that like on Instagram, you can message bots that kind of act like your favorite characters. Like I saw Damon Salvatore from the Vampire Diaries that you could just like talk with him online. And I
That's
think it's yeah, and I think it's really interesting. So I think it poses a lot more fun outlets.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that we can kind of find, I guess, companions in AI, and we can kind of learn a lot from them and have different conversations, learn a lot of different things, because there's like just a lot of perspectives that you can kind of understand and learn through AI. But I didn't realize that Damien from Vampire Diaries, you could speak to him. That's really cool.
hmm I was just like chatting, like, because it just popped up on my Instagram feed, and I was like, okay, yeah, let me converse with one of my favorite characters. And then it was like kind of funny because gave me like a bunch of references from the show, but it
Mhm.
was still fun to talk. And I think there's also like Snapchat AI where you can like ask them questions. So there's a lot of fun outlets. Yeah.
And it was like a
And
character on Instagram?
Yeah, it was just like a little thing. So you have to like scroll and there's like the reels and there's like posts or whatever, and you just scroll a little bit and it'll show like little boxes of characters that you can message. I don't know if it's like you have to update the app, but it just like randomly came on my account and I was like, let's just
Yeah,
try
I
it.
tried to update it, but I've never seen that. I'm definitely gonna try to update it. I'm curious now.
Yeah.
But is that something you guys, I just like to understand like the dynamic about that kind of thing because I'm obviously from a completely different generation as yours. I mean, is it something that, as you talk about with your peers, I don't know, do people like tell you about having relationships with AI and with AI bots and stuff or the deep things they do with it? Or is that more just like a personal thing that each one keeps for themselves?
I think from my experience, I haven't really heard much about, building relationships with AI, like from my peers and those conversations that they've had, just from my experience. But I know that it definitely happens. I know that people definitely communicate with AI, just like asking random questions, and kind of like picking AI's brain, I guess. I know that that definitely occurs, but I personally have not had, conversations with my peers about it.
Yeah, me too. Like when I told you about the AI bots on Instagram or whatever, like me and my friends were honestly a little bit skeptical of it. But then I was just like, you know what, this wouldn't hurt. I have like a couple minutes to spend, I might as well. But I know that like on TikTok, for example, like some trending prompts are like, based on everything you know about me, ChatGPT, what does my future soulmate look like? Like envision this type of example. And I know a lot of people just like dabble with those stories, which is really interesting. Like some of my friends do it, so I just like look at what ChatGPT is saying for them. Um, but other than that, that's like kind of the scope of it. I think it's sometimes a bit personal too. Like, what are you asking AI? What are you feeding into AI? But just those are what I know off of social media.
Thank you. Would you mind if we go back to the education? Because I'm still thinking about what you guys were saying about that, about being confused, right? And I can imagine. I just saw that Google released Google, if you have Google Classroom in your school, they released like 30 new AI helpers for teachers over the last day of June. So you go back to school, and if you have Google, it's very aggressively being added to schools. So I'm just thinking how that must be in real life, right? The AI is really being pushed on the educators, but on the other hand, the educators are, as you described your situation, like, can you like explain a little bit more in depth this confusion and what you would like to see?
hmm I think it's really interesting that they pushed out 30 new like AI helpers. Like I didn't even know that. Is that for Google Classroom or is it like the entire Google
Google
itself?
Classroom.
Oh, I see. Because my school uses Canvas. So,
Yes, yeah.
yeah, I think
But I did use Google Class. Oh, sorry, I did use Google Classroom in middle school through high school. So that
me
is
too.
very interesting.
Yeah. I think like when you're going into higher education, you kind of shift away from Google Classroom. So maybe they're targeting like the younger generation. But I mean personally, I don't think Canvas has any AI helpers, not that I know of. I kind of deleted the app for the summer. But I think it's still very murky. Like, I think a lot of people are going to be playing around with the new helpers, but at the same time, some educators might still be skeptical of it. And a lot of teachers, like at least another school in my district, they don't let you write essays or anything on a computer. They only do it on paper because they're afraid of like situations that happened to me. So I think there might be more instances of trying to go away from the artificial intelligence. Those might be situations.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that there is going to be a lot of skepticism. Like you were saying, I didn't realize that they added these AI helpers. And I, again, coming from trying to come from like an optimist perspective, I do see this as something that we can use to our advantage. But I do also understand the skepticism just because there is just a lot of unknown, there is a lot of gray area. Um, but yeah, I think that we kind of for now take it with a grain of salt, and we really just have, I think time is what we need. We just need to see how it plays out. We really can't predict anything. And so I think that coming at it with an optimistic perspective, having open conversations, teachers and students having open conversations about um kind of like their syllabi and understanding what they can use and to what extent they can use AI is definitely very important. But yeah, like I said, I think that time is something that we kind of need to really understand how this is going to affect us.
What about jobs? Because there's always a lot of talk, at least in the media and um, tech CEOs, about how all the jobs are going to be replaced. What are your thoughts about this, and what have you heard from your peers?
Well, my dad, he works in artificial intelligence. He's like, he dabbles with it sometimes. And the response he says whenever we're like sitting at dinner or whatever, he says that it's going to be a lot more helpful. Like it's automated so much of his own work and he already works in tech. So I see the conversation where artificial intelligence can replace jobs, especially in technology, because I think I'm more familiar with that field. But I also think that it's gonna open up new more fields, a lot more fields. Like prompt engineering is a new field that's opened up. And there's so many other opportunities. Like as I spoke a little bit before. Artificial intelligence is a minor that's being offered and probably even a major. So, as I think there's going to be a lot more opportunities instead of more like declines.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I feel like AI can help with in terms of like the job industry. It can help a lot more kind of with busy work, with like data entry into different spreadsheets or like invoice processing and stuff like that that we do need um that we do need done, but it's also something that could be done by AI, and the individuals in the job fields could be taking their time and to other and more and like kind of more important things. So I definitely think that it's more positives than negatives. I definitely agree with that statement.
I mean, that's interesting that you both say that. What about social media? And not to get political, but I think in America it has had a very big aspect on society, right? Big impact on society. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on uh, social media, especially for young people? Because I'm an old person, and old people are always like, "Oh, social media is going to be the end of the lost generation and such." What are your thoughts when you hear that?
I think that um one like very important aspect of what young people are doing with AI is we're blending activism, and we're blending activism with entertainment, and we're kind of using social media to amplify marginalized voices. And so I think that that's very important to address because we're using TikTok, we're using Instagram, using Twitter, and we're putting out very important information, very important perspectives that a lot of times wouldn't reach like large groups of people. And so I think that it's a very positive thing that we're kind of using social media as a tool for advocacy, as a tool to promote a kind of more inclusive and innovative society. And I think that that is something that is a testament to our, ever evolving environment. And I understand the I guess traditional perspective and kind of rooted in fear. Um, but it's something that I think is very, very beautiful and very powerful.
Yeah, I agree with Samaya. And I think what's really cool about AI is that you can optimize whatever you want to say online. Like a prompt that you can ask ChatGPT is write me a post and maximize SEO, which is like search engine optimization. So it'll try to put as many keywords as possible. And if you just like put in some of those, then I think it increases your post metrics being viewed or anything like that. So I think there's a lot of amazing things that happen with artificial intelligence with social media because people use ChatGPT as Google nowadays. Like you just put like use as a search engine. So if we like optimize that with good content, like positive content, trying to uplifting content, then I think it has a lot of room for potential and making a good difference in the world.
Mhm.
Thanks. What about your thoughts about the impacts on, AI or social media on like digital well-being? Because we were going to talk about like what kind of risks are there that you see around you?
I think that there is a lot of misinformation that spreads through social media and kind of AI generated content. Um, Fake news is definitely very common, a very common occurrence in our world that we have that's like written in social media. And so I definitely think this can be very dangerous. Especially when, public discourse is regarding topics that like impact people, that impact livelihoods, and like those livelihoods are being threatened. So I think that there can be like there can be danger in that. And so that's where I feel like our kind of online world can be quite dangerous. I also think that mental health is something that's important to address. Social media burnout and comparison culture is definitely very real as a result of us experiencing AI and experiencing social media. I think young women, and particularly young women of color, at times when we're, consuming media, I think it kind of paints a picture of different unrealistic beauty standards and just unrealistic standards. And I think that that can definitely have impacts on, self-confidence and questions of identity and just negative impacts on mental health. And so I think that that is definitely something important to talk about when it comes to AI and when it comes to social media. In today's online world, we are experiencing threats just because we're getting so much information at once. And I think that at times that can be very overwhelming. So yeah, definitely very, very real and a very important things to address.
And another dangerous thing too is like sharing too much information with AI. Like, I guess a general guideline is to not show like your personal information, like where you live or like other personal details, like all that. So, like one random day, I was bored, so I just searched myself up on ChatGPT, and it actually gave me a list of like everything. Like it was basically kind of like Google. It showed me where I went to school, my previous schools, like other things that I've done. And I didn't really converse with AI that much back then. So, like, I was a little bit shocked. And I think it just goes to show that there's a good line, there's like a fine line between, asking for help, which is great, and also sharing too much. Because AI itself, like, I think on ChatGPT terms and conditions, it says to not feed personal information because that can be displayed to other people who use ChatGPT. And another one with like digital well-being, just like remembering when it's good to just like step out, like just take a break. Like for me, I do a lot of stuff on my computer. Like it's summer, so I find enjoyment watching Netflix and all that stuff. But just remembering when I should like close my computer, like go on a walk, because I have a dog, so I have to take him on a walk sometimes. And like just closing my computer, deleting Instagram whenever it comes to like final season or studying for tests because like I need to spend that time wisely and just like doing things that make me feel a bit better about, my own health outside of technology.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think that we do need to normalize kind of having digital boundaries, like, screen-free time or mindful scrolling. So, I feel like if that means, setting different time limits on apps, like you said, deleting apps, so that we're not endlessly scrolling. And I know that that's definitely something that's easier said than done. Like I find myself doom scrolling at times, but I think it's something that is possible, something that is can be done, and it's something that is very easy to do. For example, on iPhones, you can set time limits, and it's a very easy process. So definitely setting those digital boundaries is something that can save a lot of mental health issues and kind of things like that.
hmm And picking up new hobbies you wouldn't even expect that are
Right.
like digital. Like this past summer, I've had some time on my hands, so I was like, why not continue reading? I haven't actually picked up a book that I enjoyed on my own volition. So I just went to the library, picked out like two, three books, and I've read them and I've enjoyed them. And it was like off my computer, off my phone. And it was just crazy because I dedicated maybe like 2, 3 hours to just read instead of just doom scrolling because sometimes when I'm doom scrolling, I realize it, but I still enjoy the act of just spending my
Yeah.
time on my phone. So just like swapping that with reading, it was just really great. Like I enjoyed that much more.
Yeah, and it also gives you the space to kind of enjoy what's in front of you, enjoy, your peers, your family who you might not have, spent the time with if you were just doom scrolling on your phone. So, yeah, digital boundaries are definitely very important.
hmm
Is this something you have to figure out by yourself, or are there people like helping you? Because I can imagine this is easier said than done, because I've been hearing it constantly, actually. Like young people are getting devices without any kind of guidance. So I just want to know, like, did you have to figure this out by yourself, or how was that?
I kind of had to figure it out myself. Like whenever I'm on my computer or whatever, like sometimes my eyes hurt a lot because they're very dry because I'm just like looking and my brightness is kind of high. And then I just like have to just look the other side and look at a wall for maybe 5 minutes. And once I do that, I realize I'm on the computer for way too long. Or whenever I'm just like on my phone or whatever in the living room, my mom tells me like you need to get off your phone and actually go outside and like chug some water. So while there is a little bit of me figuring that out on my own volition, I have family that also tells me to do that. So I think it comes from like a mix of both for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was gonna say I'm definitely constantly reminded by my parents to, get off my phone, go outside, just make sure that I'm not only engaging with electronics, but also again, I've kind of experienced on my by myself, like if I'm on my computer for a long period of time, I'll suffer from headaches. So it's definitely something that I've been told, but also I've experienced through, my through my own experiences.
What about like the older people in your lives, like grandparents, parents? Because we are always talking about like we have to help the younger generation, but in a lot of cases, it's actually the older generation that needs more help than the younger generation. Is that something that you've experienced as well?
Kind of. My grandparents, they live in India, so the only way we can communicate is through, WhatsApp or just the phone or like calling them. So I think, yes, it's a little bit harder for them because I mean, their only communication for like us is just through the phone. But also like my some of my grandparents, they live in the village. So they have like a lot of like nature-esque stuff near them. Like they have to work on their farmland, they have to care for the crops, they have to care for like the animals. So they have a balance between nature and also using the phone because like my parents, they also tell them like, hey, you can't be on your phone for too long because my dad works in technology and my mom's an educator and they listen sometimes, but other times you kind of have to like tell them like you need to stop.
Yeah. I think in my experience, there's a lot of curiosity that I'm experiencing from my grandparents. They're asking me questions. They're asking me, how do I work this? How do I do this on my phone? So I guess from my experience, it's a lot of just them being curious about what it is and how to use it. And I really do appreciate kind of that curiosity. But also there is, some skepticism. There are questions regarding like, what are these what impact how's this going to impact us in the long term, like I've gotten a lot of kind of questions from my grandparents about that, but in hindsight and majority it's kind of more of a more curiosity.
Thanks. I mean, what would you say is the best way to reach, how to get the generations to work together to reach people to kind of improve awareness, about digital well-being, kind of support people more. Just in your experience, what would be the best way, looking at the people around you? How would you reach them
As
that they would
ironic,
listen?
yeah, I mean, as ironic as it may seem, I think the best way to share awareness about technology and, the harmful effects of it is through technology because that's the way where we can kind of um, access a lot more groups of people. There's so many people on social media, so there are accounts dedicated for digital wellness. I'm pretty sure that if you just like find an account, if you just search up on like the search bar in Instagram, I'm pretty sure you can find like best tips for digital wellness. And I think during COVID as well, there was a lot of resources pushed out by like reputable organizations about digital wellness. So I think the resources are already there. We just have to promote that and I think the best medium is through technology. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
I totally agree. I was going to say the exact same thing. I think it's through technology that we need to, kind of inform people. But I also think that that can also be a slippery slope. I feel like we should use our platforms with purpose. Every post is kind of a chance to inform and inspire people. So you never really know when something can go viral or when it reaches more people than expected. And when it's out there and it's gonna stay out there forever. So I think just kind of being informed with what you're posting is very important, but I think that the method should be through technology to kind of express this.
Like social media.
Hmm. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And I've heard that people hear the message better from someone who's like their age or a few years older. Would you also say that trust someone more like this 3 or 4 years older than someone who's like 20 years older?
I mean, I think the background kind of differs. For me, um, the people that I follow online are the people that motivate me and like they can range from people who are 30 years older than me or people my age. And I think just curating your own Instagram feed, your TikTok feed, your Twitter feed with people that, you respect, you admire, regardless of their background, can be very helpful. Because I think that's where true, insight comes from a variety of different backgrounds. I think if we closet ourselves to just, one type of person or one type of country or anything like that, then our information that we get is very biased. And instead, it's good to have like a multifaceted lens.
Yes, definitely. I think we definitely do need to have those diverse perspectives. I totally understand being comfortable in familiarity, but I think diverse perspectives are the this is a very important way to kind of avoid bias, like you were saying. And so yeah, like I would say that I would want to see, content from people my age, but I would also want to see something from, a 50-year-old who also might know something about AI. I think it's important to really understand all different types of perspectives so you can kind of weigh what you're learning from everyone and kind of compare and cross-reference the content that you're learning.
Do you feel like you can get that? I mean, do you feel like you are able to like control the algorithm, so to speak, the outputs that you get a diverse perspective, or do you have to, is that a lot of work?
I think that it's kind of something that you need to actively have in the back of your mind and really be mindful of what you're liking because the algorithm is going to output more of what types of videos and images that you're liking. So just I think kind of having that mindset in the back of your mind is very important, and just really understanding that the algorithm is going to put out things that you're viewing a lot and you're liking. Um, yeah.
I agree. And the app I use the most is Instagram. So there's like when you're scrolling through Reels, which are like the short form video content, there's like a little button that shows who liked what. And if you click on it, like it's like in the upper right corner, you can see what your friends liked or like your mutuals or people that you know. And if you like engage with that content, it shows you more of what they enjoyed. So I think being mindful, like just like what Samaya said, like if you don't like it, scroll. If you like it, then I guess interact with it because the algorithm will know. And I think you can also kind of see what the algorithm kind of feeds you based on the people that it's showing you should connect with. Like if you're following, I don't know, Bill Gates, then is it going to forward you to Mark Zuckerberg or like something like that? You kind of realize what the algorithm is feeding you based on what you're providing it. And what you're providing is like your interactions with the content.
Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want to like talk about and share?
Um, I think, okay, a point that I wrote down that I really wanted to mention is like in AI and education. I know from my perspective, like, I guess it could seem that it was kind of in a negative light because of like that whole thing that happened in May. Like, it was just so distressing. I can't even explain it in words. But because of that, I was able to do so much research. And like, when I like went on a huge rabbit hole of like maybe 100 tabs on my computer on like things that happened because this is a similar situation to other people. And I found that artificial intelligence is very beneficial in some certain cases, like Khan Academy. It's a platform that gives you content or it teaches you content like math, science, all of that. It actually has its AI assistant called Conmigo, which provides personalized learning tracks, and around like 200,000 people use it. So I think while a lot of people see AI in education in kind of a negative light, there's a lot of good things happening. And I think that's very important to recognize.
Yeah. I definitely, just to add on to the kind of opportunities that, our online world provides for us, I think it's definitely easier to kind of access global communities. I can kind of speak to my own experience. I've been learning Mandarin Chinese in like international baccalaureate programs since I was in pre-K 3. And so through those programs, I had the opportunity to travel to China and to travel to Taiwan. And so I made relationships with my host sister in China, my host sister in Taiwan, and her friends. And that those relationships didn't end when I left China and when I left Taiwan, they continued. While visiting these countries, I was able to kind of really engage with them, but also maintain my relationships with them virtually, which I think is very important. And it's amazing kind of opportunity that we have in a virtual environment now. And so I think that social media provides us those opportunities and it gives us access to people globally, which is something that I feel like is definitely very important to address where we can use these as tools to learn and kind of have more of an open mind and gain the even more diverse perspectives that we were kind of talking about earlier.
100% agreed. And like another note in terms of like a positive change with global digital spaces is that like just joining organizations that promote ethical AI usage. Like I was just doing a quick Google search before this and I found one called Responsible AI Institute and I thought that was pretty cool. And there's like this person, I forget who, but I connected with them on LinkedIn and I saw that they're a high schooler and they founded this organization about a like ethical AI use and they like speak with the White House and it was so cool. I just forget the name of it, but if you just find out organizations online that do good things and promote good change, then I'm sure you'll find a ton of them. And like I kind of think in hindsight, you know how I talked about how distressing the AI situation was for me in May, kind of like thinking about that like weeks later, I'm a little bit happy it happened to me because I learned to be an advocate for myself because if not me, then who? And if you're in these situations, just remember that, you know, you got to advocate for yourself, you got to speak up. But yeah.
Yeah. But overall, I definitely do think that our future is going to be tech driven. It's going to continue to be tech driven. Um, but it does have to be equitable. And so I think that we deserve tools that kind of reflect our own realities and reflect everyone's communities. And so I think that representation is very important in these tools, and I think it's something that everyone deserves. So although it's definitely something that is very important and it's something that's going to be in our future, it needs to exist in our future and it needs to represent everyone that it's kind of that everyone that it's sorry, having a brain fart. It
Yeah,
needs to it needs to represent everyone. It's in its entire audience. It needs to represent its entire audience.
definitely. And like a cool thing that I learned from my podcast is that whenever you're trying to build a product, you got to have a diverse set of people. Like if you're selling a product to a certain type of audience member, you have to have a team that kind of matches that same audience. Like you can't just have one person build something for a completely different type of human being. You got to have like a diverse team. And as we're moving forward, we have to kind of include those voices. Like you can't just have a team that just looks like you. You know, you got to have people from different countries, different backgrounds, different genders. And I think if we have a lot more inclusivity, then we're for sure going to be in a positive light going forward.
I think so too. And it really hits me when we had 3 sessions with Africa, where they use the same tools, right, as the ones that you use in America, but it doesn't usually speak their language. And you ask it something, it will answer about San Francisco instead of instead of the country where they are. And this is obviously a big gap. That even as you see as you mentioned, Samaya, even like Black women have a big issue with representation in AI a lot. I've heard that from numerous people. Um, and yeah, this is something that will be, I think, young people who raise up and say, no, I want to see myself there. I want to make sure that it gets there, because it started out, we have a tool, it was trained on certain set of data, and the young people are like, no, I'm not going to use that tool unless I see my reality there. So yeah, I think that that's really great. I really appreciate hearing from both of you. And I don't know if you want to say what you're looking forward to in the next school year, because it's going to start soon, I guess, for both of you.
Yeah, it's gonna start really soon. But just something I want to mention is that, you know, if you're going into class and you first day get your syllabus, I think I mentioned this before, but make sure that everything is clear, at least for you to interpret. And if not clear for you, then maybe it's not clear for the rest of the classroom. And that'll show, you're being proactive about your own education because you don't want to get tangled up in a situation like me in the past May. So if there isn't any clear AI usage, what constitutes as original work? Are you allowed to ask ChatGPT any questions? And are you allowed to use Google Gemini? Because there's so many different AI variations, like Grammarly Premium uses artificial intelligence and Turnitin can detect that sometimes. So just be very wary of that going in and don't worry about, asking too many questions because there's never too many questions you can ask. You can always ask a lot.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. If there's confusion, I think conversations are so important. I think we need to have these conversations. We need to learn more. We need to ask so that we can have, an adequate amount of knowledge to um responsibly use AI because it can be such a great tool. I think AI has so much potential. It's just a lot of it isn't unlocked. So yeah, I definitely think it's important to kind of have those conversations with if you're ever confused about anything.
Thanks to both of you. Those are actually great tips. I mean, really great insight to your experiences with AI and education, social media. It's always very valuable for me. Didn't even have the internet when I was your age almost. So thanks. I hope to yeah, keep in touch and keep shaping the future together. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having us.